I'm going to do something almost no ProDentim review does. Go through every single ingredient with the actual clinical research, not marketing claims, not paraphrased benefits, the real published science, because you deserve to know exactly what you're putting in your body and whether it's supported by evidence. Understanding the oral microbiome first. Before we can evaluate any oral health ingredient, we need to understand the system it's working in. Your mouth harbors approximately 700 distinct bacterial species living in structured communities called biofilms, what you know as plaque. A healthy oral microbiome is characterized by dominance of Streptococcus salivarius, various Lactobacillus species, and Rothia, all commensal bacteria that maintain pH, produce antimicrobial peptides, and compete for space against pathogenic species. When this balance shifts through antibiotic use, antibacterial dental products, diet, stress, aging, or medication, pathogenic species like Streptococcus mutans, Porphyromonas, Gingivalis, Fusobacterium, nucleatum, and Treponema denticola establish dominance. These pathogens produce acids that erode enamel, enzymes that damage gum tissue, and volatile sulfur compounds responsible for halitosis. ProDentim's entire formula is designed to shift this balance back toward dominance through probiotic supplementation. Let's go ingredient by ingredient. Lactobacillus by ACASEA. Strain 1. Colonization target. Oral mucosa. Gingival sulcus. Tongue dorsum. Primary mechanism. Bacteriocin production. Bacteriocins are ribosomally synthesized antimicrobial peptides that specifically target competing bacterial species. Paracasei produces several bacteriocins that inhibit the adhesion and growth of Streptococcus mutans, the primary caries-causing bacteria. A landmark 2014 study published in NutraIngredients followed 84 participants using Paracasei supplementation for 4 weeks. Results showed statistically significant reductions in gingival bleeding index, plaque index, and salivarius mutans counts compared to placebo. A 2018 review in the European Journal of Dentistry confirmed Paracasei's role in reducing caries risk and gingival inflammation across multiple independent trials. Secondary benefit. Paracasei colonizes the nasopharyngeal mucosa and has been shown to reduce sinus congestion and postnasal drip, a major under-recognized contributor to chronic bad breath that originates above the oral cavity. BLA, CTIS BL Noel Impat. Strain 2. Belofor is one of the most comprehensively studied probiotic strains in human health research, with particular relevance to immune regulation. In the oral context, its primary mechanism is immune. Periodontal disease is not simply a bacterial infection. It's an immune-mediated inflammatory condition where the host's own immune response causes most of the tissue damage. When pathogenic bacteria colonize the gingival, they trigger an inflammatory cascade involving IL-1.Na and prostaglandin E2 cytokines that stimulate osteoclast activity and cause the bone resorption characteristic of periodontitis. Belofor specifically modulates the Th1, Th2, Th17 immune balance, reducing the overproduction of pro-inflammatory cytokines in response to commensal oral bacteria while maintaining appropriate responses to actual pathogens. This immunoregulatory effect is why BLO4 is particularly valuable for people with chronic low-grade oral inflammation who have good hygiene but persistent gum problems. The issue isn't bacteria, it's the immune overreaction to bacteria. A 2016 study in the British Journal of Nutrition demonstrated Belofor's effects on respiratory mucosal immunity, which shares tissue continuity with the oral cavity. Secondary benefit. Belofor has been shown to reduce the incidence and severity of upper respiratory infections, directly relevant given the oral respiratory microbiome connection. Lactobacillus reuteri strain 3. This is the star of the formula from a clinical evidence standpoint. A 2019 systematic review published in NutraIngredients Latum analyzed 14 randomized controlled trials examining Ruteri supplementation for oral health. Meta-analyses of the pooled data showed statistically significant reductions in bleeding on probing, the clinical measure of gum inflammation plaque index scores, and periodontal pocket depth. The mechanism is Reuterin production. Reuterin is a 3-hydroxypropion compound produced by Reuteri from glycerol. It's a broad-spectrum antimicrobial with a unique property. It specifically disrupts the metabolism of Porphyromonas, gingivalis, and Treponema denticola, the keystone pathogens of periodontitis, concentrations that don't inhibit commensal species. TS pathogen specificity is why Reuteri is so clinically valuable. It's a targeted intervention rather than a carpet bomb approach. The same 2019 review noted that even non-via Reuteri heat-killed bacteria retained significant antimicrobial activity, demonstrating that the Reuterin production and bacterial wall components themselves have health benefits independent of live colonization. Inulin prebiotic fiber. Inulin is a fructoligous acid derived from chicory root. As a prebiotic, it functions as a selective carbon source for beneficial bacteria. In the oral cavity, Lactobacillus species preferentially ferment inulin over competing pathogenic species, creating a metabolic advantage that helps the supplemented strains maintain population dominance between doses. Without prebiotic support, orally introduced probiotics are typically expelled within 24 to 48 hours. The inulin significantly extends their residence time. Inulin also stimulates salivary IgA production, the primary immunoglobulin in saliva that contributes to mucosal defense. Malic acid from strawberry extract. Malic acid is an alpha-hydroxy acid that occurs naturally in many fruits. In the oral context, it functions as a chelating agent. It forms coordination bonds with the metallic ions in tooth stain molecules, primarily from tannins in coffee, tea, and red wine, and disrupts their attachment to the enamel. This is a fundamentally different whitening mechanism than hydrogen peroxide bleaching, which oxidizes. Malic acid's mechanism doesn't penetrate the enamel or affect dentin. It removes surface-attached extrinsic stains. A 2013 study, in general dentistry, confirmed malic acid's efficacy for surface stain removal without the enamel sensitivity associated with peroxide-based. For most users, visible brightening becomes noticeable within 3 to 4 weeks of daily use. Tricultium phosphate. Enamel is a crystalline hydroxyapatite structure. Acid exposure from dietary sources and bacterial metabolism causes partial demineralization, the loss of calcium and phosphate ions from the crystal lattice. This early stage erosion is reversible through remineralization if the right ions are available. Tricalcium phosphate provides bioavailable calcium and phosphate directly to the enamel surface during the daily contact with a chewable tablet. This supports the natural remineralization process, helping to repair microscopic erosion before it progresses to visible damage or sensitivity. Peppermint leaf. Beyond the obvious breath benefit, peppermint contains menthol and elk, which have documented anti-inflammatory effects on mucosal tissue. A 2015 study in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology found peppermint extract inhibited prostaglandin E2 production in inflamed gingival tissue, directly addressing the inflammatory pathway active in gingiva. The menthol also produces a cooling sensation that temporarily reduces the perception of pain in sensitive gum tissue. My assessment: this is not a randomly assembled ingredient list. It's a coherent system targeting the oral microbiome from multiple angles simultaneously: probiotic colonization, prebiotic support, immune regulation, stain removal, The clinical evidence for each individual component is genuine and independently verifiable. No single ingredient is a miracle. The formula's value is in their synergistic interaction. To get the authentic formula, you need to buy from the official website. My link is in the description and pinned comment. All orders are covered by the 60-day money-back guarantee.